Hello and welcome to today's video. In today's video, what I thought I'd do is answer a common question that I'm often asked by prospective clients. And that is, Rob, what are the documents that I need for when I'm applying for my actual visa itself? So in today's video, I'm going to cover this and a few other important points as well. So let's get into today's video, which is looking at documents required for your student visa subclass 500. And hopefully this checklist that I'm going to provide for you will be very useful. The main evidence that you are going to require for your visa application is your passport. But if you do happen to have a copy of your birth certificate, this will help as long as it is a certified copy, along with a national identity card if you have one, and also a copy of your driver's license as well. You will require evidence that you are enrolled in a school here in Australia. So what you'll need to do is obtain a confirmation of enrolment, and this is done at the admissions application process, and you will receive this once you've paid for your initial tuition for the college. In some cases, if you are a postgraduate research student looking to reapply for a student visa, you may come under a special categories section. So what this means is that you may need to provide evidence if you are looking to apply for a student visa from your education provider because you are looking to receive your marks for your thesis. If you are under the age of 18, you will need to develop a welfare arrangement and put this in place. Now, this could be for yourself or it could be for a family member that is looking to come to study in Australia. A Form 157N will need to be completed, which is a nomination of a student guardian in Australia. And then you'll also need a confirmation of accommodation and welfare letter from the education provider, along with if you happen to be coming to Australia as a student exchange student, then you may also require an acceptance advice letter, but you'll also need a parent consent form if you're under the age of 18, which is Form 1229, which can be found on the Department of Home Affairs website or through your migration agent. You will need to demonstrate that you have overseas health cover insurance as well for the duration of your studies, just to ensure that if you get sick or if you have any medical issues, that you have the appropriate coverage to be looked after if you're not feeling well. One of the biggest areas I tend to get asked about is the evidence of financial capacity. So here, you need to ensure that you have enough funds to cover you for your travel costs. You also need to ensure that you have 12 months of living and tuition fees available to you. And if you happen to be coming with family members, you will need to make sure that you have sufficient funds to also cover them. So generally, potential students tend to come out to Australia on their own because of the cost of the burden. It is possible, but you need to also consider how much money you have available to you. So let's say, for example, if you happen to be coming out by yourself and you have a spouse or partner that is sponsoring you, they need to demonstrate that they have at least $62,222 available to them in order to be able to sponsor you as a international student. Or if you are coming out with your family, you need to demonstrate that the person that is sponsoring you has at least 72,592 Australian dollars available to them in income to be able to support you and your family during your first 12 months here in Australia. You may need to demonstrate evidence of your English language ability. Now, some institutions may not require this. However, the Department of Home Affairs may require it, and it can be in the form of IELTS TEFL PTE, and you will need to demonstrate this as part of your application process as well if it is asked for. Your migration agent will inform you if this is needed. One of the other major areas that I'm always asked about is the genuine temporary entrant requirements. So you are required to complete a statement of purpose, and as part of that process, you'll also need to show that you have proof of employment or what your previous employment was, and need to demonstrate what your pay slips were for the last 6 months, or maybe provide contact details of who your last employer was, and also provide a copy of your resume and any qualifications that you have obtained while you have studied overseas, to demonstrate the link between what you've studied previously to what it is that you're looking to study in Australia. All of your qualifications need to be certified copies. And in order to help you with the previous section on financial capacity, it's also a good idea to make sure that you can provide at least 6 months worth of bank statements to show your financial history. And you may also be required to provide any travel history that where you've traveled outside of your home country, that you've met the visa conditions, as well as any immigration history and any potential visa refusals, as well as this may be picked up as part of the Department of Home Affairs review. And it's always better to be upfront than to potentially try to hide any potential issues. Otherwise, your visa may be refused straight away. If you're in doubt on this point, you feel free to always ask me as well. Another type of question that I'm often asked is what types of funds are acceptable to demonstrate your financial capacity in Australia. So as I mentioned earlier, you can demonstrate that you've got savings for maybe at least the 6 months, and you can do this in the form of bank statements. The more you can provide, the better. So 6 months would be better than 3. If you happen to have any fixed deposits, the same thing applies here. Any bank statements that you might have over the last 3 to 6 months again. And if you do happen to maybe take out any education loans based on property or sponsored income, you may need to demonstrate or provide these documents as well. And for some countries, you may have available to agricultural income funds, so you may need to provide an income certificate. And if you happen to be borrowing funds against a home or property, you may also need to provide this as documents as well, just to show where your funds are coming from to support you on your endeavours to study in Australia. Other financial documents that you may need to provide, or not so much financial documents, but just documents in general, may be things such as an affidavit of support from yourself to declare that the funds are yours, a sponsor declaration, or if, for example, if you have a name change, you may need to provide a document for this as well, such as a marriage certificate. Any sponsor income proof that they've sponsored you, you may need to complete a Form 16 ITRS or an agricultural income, or provide pension amounts. Sponsors ID proof, you may need to provide this as well. Any property valuation reports if you're borrowing against your property. Any property documents or sales deeds as well if you are looking to use these funds to support you. Any potential bank covering letters from the bank if you've taken out some kind of specific loan, or loan sanction letters or disbursement letters, or bank statements in general, which will help you with your application process. Don't be too worried here, as you may or may not understand what all these documents are, but as you work with a migration agent, they will be able to be much more clearer on what it is that you require to help you with your application form for your visa. That's why I always suggest using a migration agent. As I've mentioned in the past, I'm an education agent, and my goal is to try to inform you, but always best to use a migration agent just to be on the safe side. If there was a reason for you to change your name, you would also need to provide this as proof of change of name. Generally, people tend to change their name due to marriage, so you may need to provide a change of name for your marriage, and you may also need to provide a copy of your marriage certificate as well. If you happen to be in any particular type of relationship, you may need to provide documents of the nature of that relationship. Say, for example, if it's a spouse, that's pretty straightforward. You could show a marriage certificate. But if it's a de facto partnership, other things that you may need to provide there is maybe copies of bills where it's in joint names to show that you're living together and those kind of things as well. The purpose of this is, especially if your spouse is looking to, or sorry, de facto is looking to sponsor you, they can demonstrate that they're living with you and it is a genuine relationship as well. So who can sponsor you? You can be sponsored by parents or siblings like your brother or sister, your uncle or aunties, your parent-in-laws if you're married, your spouse if your spouse is not coming with you to Australia, or even your grandparents as well. If you are going to use a migration agent, you will need to complete a form 956 and ensure that this is completed successfully. So that way, what you're doing is you're providing the authority for the migration agent to work on your behalf to finalize your student visa application. If you are intending to come to Australia with children, so you have school dependents, so children between the ages of 5 or 17, you will also need to provide evidence of enrolment in the local schools as well as part of the application process. If you happen to be a research student undertaking a PhD, you will also need to provide a copy of your thesis or your project, and also make sure that you also include a copy of your resume as well. If you require more information about the student visa application and documents, you can always come and visit the Department of Home Affairs website, and you can also check it regularly just to make sure that the documents that you need are correct. But as always, you can talk to your migration agent that I can put you onto to help you with this process. And the idea behind this is to also make your life a little bit easier for them to be able to identify where your gaps are and what it is that you may also need to provide in order to help you to have a more successful application. If you found this video useful today, please give me a thumbs up, and also please subscribe if you haven't done so already. And also don't forget to provide a comment down below if there's anything that you felt that would work really well for you, or if there's something in the video that you felt that I maybe not have explained clearly enough, and I'd be more than happy to do so. If you want to catch up with me on a one-on-one consultation process, I have the link below, and I'd be more than happy to have a further chat with you, and I'll see you in the next video.